In Boulder, Colorado on Sunday, there was a scene that's becoming a little too familiar here in the West, and that is a scene of total chaos. Saw a deranged lunatic using Molotov cocktails and a makeshift flamethrower to attack a group of middle-aged to elderly Americans who were taking part in a weekly show of support for hostages who've been held in Gaza by Hamas for almost 2 years at this point. Mohammed Solomon was his name, an Egyptian who entered the U.S. in 2022 on a tourist visa and then refused to leave like so many others. It is illegal to do that. And he turned a mild-mannered vigil into an inferno, screaming about Zionists, screaming for Palestine to be free. Here's how it all looked as the flames died down. You have burned victims on the ground, mostly older people, and a madman who is still screaming.
We can't do nothing.
We can!
Not here!
Not here, bro!
You're not! People taking video right now. He was wearing an orange suit with like something on his back.
Spraying alcohol,
Spraying alcohol, but with he made it look like he was here.
He's making Molotov cocktails.
Palestine is free! And for us!
We've brought in potentially thousands of that right there. We don't know. We really don't know. And trying to get rid of them as fast as we can. And then after you saw that, because after all, it's Boulder, Colorado, we see an aging hippie walk up, furious, screaming and victim blaming those who were attacked by the firebomber. One of those people, by the way, is a Holocaust survivor. There aren't many of them left, who was lucky to escape death by an inferno 80 years ago, only to be burned in an affluent left-wing American suburb, nearly a century later. This deranged witness you're about to see saying it's the protesters' fault that they were attacked by a terrorist.
You don't antagonize like that. You caused me.
He's not
Right!
You caused this, as a person lays there burning on the ground. Just a nice reminder of just how twisted everything has become, how indoctrinated so many people in your country now are. Even in that moment, probably with the smell of burning flesh still in the air, that man found more sympathy for an Egyptian terrorist than his victims. We are in deep trouble ideologically, a nation full of hate, and most of it has been imported. At the White House, Stephen Miller tweeting, "Suicidal migration must be fully reversed." The United States and the West has imported loads of cancerous ideology, and its influence on our own culture is very obvious. Clearly, they've captivated our college kids. You can see that at any Ivy League university. And it is much more broad than that. 2 weeks ago, a beautiful young Israeli couple murdered in cold blood on the streets of Washington right outside of an Israeli museum. Their attacker throwing his entire life away for free Palestine. This ideology was imported. Americans indoctrinated with a unique combination of self-loathing, and cultural Marxism. And we're losing our minds. Clear here in this video from San Diego yesterday.
Shame! 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 Back up! Yeah, back up! Back up! Shame! Shame! Shame!
Those are immigration officers. Those are residents of a neighborhood in San Diego shaming immigration officers who are working to clear out illegal immigrants who've come into the country and then committed further crimes that live in their community. How deranged can you possibly be to threaten federal agents as they work to remove criminals that live all around your house? But then you realize it's all learned. The media focuses mostly on the entitled emotions of anybody who is being impacted right now by what has begun, which is the last several months we've started to see common sense immigration policies like you're seeing all over the rest of the world, at least the sophisticated world. But here in this country, when we implement common sense immigration policies, we have a media that just finds everybody offended by it and they exploit that story, such as this.
Person after person left Miami's immigration court in tears Thursday. Yanet Correa could not hold back her pain.
Una injusticia, una grande injusticia.
She screams injustice after her husband was placed on an expedited deportation order after showing up to his immigration check-in in Miami.
The only country in the world, bar none, the only country in the world where you can enter illegally, commit additional crimes, or ignore orders to leave, get sympathetic media coverage when you're finally deported, and millions of Americans and one of the two major political parties are fighting to keep you here. The only country in the world where you receive behavior like this. In Boston last month, neighbors getting violent with ICE officers as they arrested an illegal who had beaten up her own pregnant daughter. The whole neighborhood comes pouring out to defend a woman from another country, came here illegally, and then beats the hell out of her own pregnant daughter. Mostly white liberals, as we all know in the video, the most dangerous creature on the planet. Do they protest when anybody else is taken into custody for beating up a pregnant woman? I don't imagine they do. But in this instance, look at the street. That's a neighborhood in Boston, Worcester, Mass. ICE in Boston announcing a major raid over the last several days. Hundreds of illegals, more than 1,000 actually, most either convicted of crimes after coming in illegally, so they come in illegally and then they start committing crimes, or they've ignored multiple deportation orders, which means they're found out to be illegal, tell them to go home, they just throw it away multiple times. Those are the people being rounded up. The response from the Congresswoman in Boston was this.
Thank you all for being here today as we gather in community and solidarity for our immigrant neighbors who are under attack by this hostile administration. We convene here today to make it plain, hands off our immigrant neighbors.
Hands off our immigrant neighbors, including sexual assault, anything really, theft, anything that happens, they don't care. Keep them here, because that's Ayanna Pressley's future voting base. They will not stop until your country is a dangerous dump, until it looks a lot like Paris does these days, which looks less and less French every day as it turns into a North African asylum camp. Did you see what happened this weekend? It was absolute chaos all throughout the French capital this past weekend. Look at this. That's Paris. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, or at least it was. Rioting, looting, violence, heathens. The third world doing what the third world does best, as white liberal leaders remain fully intent on virtue by self-destruction. A glimmer of hope, though, in nearby Poland, as Trump-backed Karol Nawrocki is elected president of that nation. His liberal opponent conceded over the weekend, saying he wanted to bring a more empathetic Poland, but failed, meaning that for his own catharsis, he wanted to import loads of North African and Middle Eastern migrants into Poland who despise their culture and want to leech off of their wealth, but he failed at that mission. He wanted to be more empathetic. I think we all know what that means. Poland voters surveyed the scene. They looked around the rest of the EU and they had a choice to make. Do we want to become France or do we want to become Hungary? And they chose wisely. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.